Right, hi guys, my name's Ashley, I'm your real estate COO and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now this is my very first YouTube video, okay, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm sure there's gonna be some mistakes, but we will get there in the end. Now the reason why I set up this channel is because of the industry that I'm in. I've been in real estate now for 21 years. And to be honest with you, I get asked on a daily, weekly basis so many questions about getting into real estate, or people who are thinking about making the move from the UK or wherever to Dubai to get into real estate, or they found a company that they're about to go and work for and they're asking me, does this make sense? This is what they've asked of me. Should I be going for it? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to create a channel. I'm going to upload content that's going to be helpful and beneficial for anybody looking at potentially making the move or is in the process of moving to Dubai and just wants to know what to do and get some authentic, real advice. This is what this channel is going to give, authentic, real advice, and hopefully it's going to add some value as well. Now, I'm going to ask you to like this page, so please give me a like, and I want this to be very interactive. So by that I mean put comments, ask questions, challenge me. I'm here for it. And take me as your property guru that's going to give you all the help and advice and tips and tricks that you're going to need. Now, how this is going to work is we're going to take it right back to the beginning in terms of thinking about making the move, what to do, where to go, what not to do as well. All the way to you're here in Dubai, you've joined a company, what should that company be providing to you? What support should they be offering? What training should be given? Okay, so I'm going to go through all that as well, but also what you need to do once you're on the main sales floor. I'm not gonna kind of dress this up in any way. Most people or most brokers that move to Dubai, they fail. They fail because they're not given the right tools, advice, training, or they're just not made for it. It's not one for the faint-hearted. There are 30,000 brokers here in Dubai, and only a fraction of them actually make decent money. I always say out of 5 people that join real estate, 3 people will leave in the first 3 months. So, the turnaround's very, very high. It's an easy entry-level job to get into. Most people fall into real estate in Dubai by accident because they want to move to Dubai to get their foot in the door. It's not a passion of theirs. It's something that they're just doing to fill a gap. If that's the case, then it's never going to work for you. If you're really serious about making this your career and it can give you a very good life and a very good career, then this is the channel for you. All right. So definitely keep in touch and keep watching, and I'll do my best to give you all the advice that's there for you. Anything new that comes into the market, I'll also jump on here and let you guys know. But it's going to be a journey that we're going to be going on. Okay, and hopefully I'm going to be there for that journey. So as I mentioned before, give me a quick like, and definitely any comments are welcome. Probably the next video, we're going to take it right back as well. I'll give you a bit more information about myself. Well, actually, I can do that now. A bit of information about myself, so then we can get into it the next one. So as I mentioned, been in real estate for 21 years. I'm from the UK. I'm actually from a small town in Devon called Newton Abbot. So pretty much born and bred down there. I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. Most kids growing up, they want to be footballers, they want to be astronauts. I wanted to be a real estate agent, okay? What I used to do is I used to draw houses. I used to draw different designs. I used to name the houses and I used to price them. Then I used to pretend to sell them. So I always knew that real estate was something I wanted to do. At secondary school, when everybody was doing work experience, I decided to go and work for my next door neighbour's real estate company. So she ran and owned a real estate company. I went to go and work with her for 2 weeks. So that gave me a real insight to how life as a real estate agent would be. Now, you're looking back, 25 years ago. So there was no kind of real cool computers, or it wasn't digitalized. So my job was pretty much, I was the filer, all the paperwork, so much paperwork. I'd file the paperwork, I'd answer the landline phone. We didn't have mobiles, so it's all by landline. I would fill out the ads, okay? So I'd write the ads to go in the paper, and then I would also do the property particulars that went in the windows. I had to type out the property particulars. So literally type them out, print off the A4 paper, and then the pictures we used to take on a camera. You'd have to take the camera roll down to the Photoshop to develop the photos, and they'll give you the photos in those little cards, you know. I'd have to get those cards and then stick them on the particulars and then pop them in the window. So it wasn't like, you know, click a button and out it pops these days. It was all very manual and very basic. But I loved it, even down to the diary. So any appointments that would go in the diary, they would be in the paper diary. So you'd have to write down in pencil, in case you had to rub it out, all the appointments and viewings. So that was my job as well. So I pretty much got to see every aspect of the business. My neighbour would take me out with her to meet landlords and do valuations, take pictures, do viewings. So again, after these 2 weeks being with her, doing work experience, it pretty much sealed the fact that I wanted to become an estate agent. So as soon as I could, I think it was 16, as soon as I finished college, or maybe it was 18, I left, it would have been 18 actually, because I worked in the bar when I first moved to London, so it would have been 18. I moved to London. So I left Devon, moved to London where my dad was living, where he had been living for many years, and I moved in with him in Clapham. I managed to get a job at a bar, which I sucked at. I was not definitely made to be anything in food and beverage or nightlife. I worked in this bar for probably about a month, and I did a really bad job. I would spill drinks, I would charge people the wrong amounts, I'd give the wrong change, I would mess up the cocktails. I remember the cocktail list was like 2 pages long. So to remember all the ingredients and the mixing and the measurements was really hard for me. So I didn't do very well. And especially on a Friday or Saturday night in London, and the bar's 5 or 6 people deep, and you got to get it done quickly, I was crumbling. So it definitely was not for me. So after I literally left, I was like, right, I need to remember the reason why I moved to London was to become a real estate agent. So I ended up getting a job with Foxtons, which is one of the most, well-known companies in London. So I got a job at Foxtons, and I remember the interview process was really different. They put us in the room. There must have been about 50 of us in this big, big room. There was lots of alcohol there, beers and wines and spirits. And I remember thinking, and there's food, and they left us in this room for like an hour. And I remember thinking, like, what is going on? When is this interview going to start? It's 7 o'clock at night. Like, what's going on? And I remember looking around the room, and some people got extremely drunk. And it then clicked. I was like, they're testing us. They've given us a room full of alcohol and food. They've left us in this big room for an hour. They're seeing who's going to take advantage of this drink. A lot of people got blinding drunk. I didn't touch a drop. And it was a test. I found out later on it was a test. This is what they always do, which is a very good test, to be honest with you. Just thought about that now. Maybe we should do this. Although you can't drink in Dubai. So obviously had this big interview. There was like 50 people. We then had groups, split into groups. Then you had to basically talk to one of the directors in this group. It's a group setting. So again, people who stood out would then go to the next stage. The next stage was then having an interview with the director on your own, which I got through. So it's like a 3-tier interview. And then you got the offer. So you either got an offer to be a move consultant, which is like based in head office, and it's pretty much phone sales, or you're a negotiator, a valuer, or a manager. I got offered a job as a move consultant based in head office. It wasn't quite what I wanted. I wanted to become a negotiator. The reason why I wanted, one of the main reasons, because it was my dream, but also the negotiators got to drive around in really cool minis. It was just when the new minis came out, 2004 I think it was, or 2003, when BMW launched Mini. Mini's one of my favourite cars. So they all got to drive these really cool branded minis with Foxtons on the side. They had flames on them, and they were iconic because every year they would change these minis to different designs. So the year I joined, it was the flames. It was Foxtons written in flames, and it just looked really cool. The next year was like Foxtons and graffiti. Then we had like Foxtons with like Ace and Kings. It was just a really, really cool vibey company. So I didn't quite get to be a negotiator, didn't get my Mini. but I got to work in head office. So my job was a move consultant to sell all the products that Foxtons have to offer. That's market appraisals, property management, home renovations, mortgages. All these products we had to sell over the phone. So we're given a database of people basically calling all day. I sat in a pod of, I think, 10 people, 5 each side. And at the end of the pod was the manager. And above the manager was a big TV screen with everybody's names on. And each service that you sold, you got points. So if you sold a valuation, you got a certain amount of points. If you did book a valuation, I worked for the Battersea branch. Although I was based in head office, the branch I represented was Battersea. So if I booked in a valuation for the valuer of Battersea, it would go into his inbox, he would be notified, I'd book it in his calendar, he would then go and turn up and do the valuation. If that valuer then got an instruction, I would then get additional points. So it's in my best interest to make sure I booked quality. So the points you got went on this screen. So at 9 o'clock, your name could be number 5 out of 50 people. By 9:15, you could be number 25. So it moves in real time, which means that it's high pressure. You've got to stay on the phones. You've got to get these instructions and these services sold. You've got to get points on the board. If your name's in green, that means you've gone up the board. If your name's in white, that means you stayed the same. If your name's in red, that means you've gone down. I hated that board. Thinking about it now, I'm actually getting anxiety thinking about it because it actually was horrible. Because it's pressure. And you didn't want to be that person at the bottom of the list. If you're at the bottom of the list, it was like shameful. And you knew if you're at the bottom of the list, you're not getting paid any commission. So you want to make sure you're in the top 20. So by the time cutoff came, end of the month, cutoff, wherever you stayed on that board, so if you're number 10 means you get paid a certain amount of commission. Between 10 and 20, you get paid a certain amount of commission. 20 and 30, certain amount, and it goes down like that. The further you are down the board, the least you get paid. So it was high pressure. And my manager at the time, his name was Jean. He was South African, ex-military. And by military, I mean military. If you were a minute late, he would scream at you. We had something called the fishbowl. Okay, so the fishbowl was our boardroom, which was in the middle of the sales floor. It's literally in the middle, it's like a bowl shape, glass. And he would be like, he would call you by your surname. So my surname's Hawthorne. He'd be like, Hawthorne, boardroom. If you were late or if you got in trouble, you would then go to the boardroom. He would scream and shout and F and blind at you, swear at you. And all you could see, if you were outside that boardroom, you could hear him, you could see the hands flying everywhere and pointing. You never wanted to be in that room. On the Monday morning, we had a Monday morning meeting. If you were late in that meeting, he would tell you to go to the fishbowl. And you would wait in the fishbowl until the end of the meeting, and then he would come in and then he would scream at you. But he got results. So, yes, you got to be in time. Yes, you had to hit a certain amount of calls, but you got it done. If not, you were not worthy of being there. And Foxtons at that time was a hire and fire company. If you didn't hit those numbers, you were out the door. Because next week, there'll be another 50 people coming in. So it was high pressure. But I liked it because it gave me a good sense of, what I needed to do. And it set the tone of how my career was going to progress. And also, working for Foxtons back in the early 2000s, you would go out for drinks and they'd be like, oh, who do you work for? You'd be like, Foxtons. They'd be like, oh, very nice. So you felt proud to work for that brand. Now, I always knew I wanted to be a negotiator, but I knew it wasn't for Foxtons. So I ended up leaving and going to a different company, another well-known company within London. And my career kind of just spiraled from there, really. So I spent 10 years in the real estate industry in the UK, from a move consultant to negotiator, senior negotiator, lettings manager, branch manager, senior branch manager. So it went all the way up the scale. A couple of those years was actually spent back down in Devon. My mum fell ill with cancer, so I had to go back down and live with her and be her main carer, kind of, so to speak. She lives on her own. She still looked after herself, but I was there as her support network should she need me. So I ended up having, I think 2 of those years or 3 of those years were spent down in Devon working for a very well-known national company called Hart, where I was a branch manager. and did extremely well. Took the branch from being a loss-making branch to a profit-making branch. We had #1 market share in my town. I won an award for the highest percentage of market share for the whole company. And bear in mind, there's 200 branches with this company, and I was #1 for market share. So I had that London mentality in a sleepy seaside town. So I was always going to win. When everybody was working 9 to 5, I was working from 7:30 in the morning till 7, 8 at night. I still do that now. So I was always going to win. My mum passed away, and I was at a crossroads. I was like, what do I do? Do I stay in Devon, or do I move back to London? I had been contacted by a company numerous times via LinkedIn asking about, would I be interested in moving to Dubai to get into real estate? And the answer was always no, because I had so much going on in the UK and I had my mum to look after, and my career was going really well. So it was always like, no, I was never interested in Dubai, never at all. My friend was like, I've got some friends in Dubai. Let's go on holiday. Come on, your mum's passed away. Let's go and have a bit of fun and, get away from here. I thought, you know what, let's go. So we ended up going to Dubai for a week. I fell in love. Literally within 24 hours, 48 hours of being in Dubai, I fell in love. And I knew it was a place that I wanted to be. It was so shiny, so new. Everybody was on the same wavelength. Everybody was hustling hard and making the money and changing their lives. And everybody wants to help everybody here. The UK, I feel like everyone suppresses each other. But here, everybody wants to help. They're like, here, you want to set a business up? Here's my friend's number. He does this. You want to get into real estate? Here's my friend. He's looking to invest. People are always looking to help each other out here. And I found that so refreshing. So I knew I wanted to get into real estate here and sell property. So I Googled real estate companies in Dubai. #1 came up. I thought I'm going to contact that company. It's #1, must be really good. Contacted the company. I actually got offered an interview during the week that I was there. And I was like, oh my God, I've got an interview. Went on the interview, met with the manager, got along really well. I got a message later on that day saying they'd like to offer me a job. I could not believe it, that I was on holiday, been for an interview and been offered a job. So that literally took my holiday to the next level. Not only am I in Dubai for the first time, but I've just gone and bagged myself a job, and I'm moving in 6 weeks. So I had 6 weeks to get myself organized. Luckily, when I was there, one of my friends had a friend, and she was actually working for the company that I was going to start at. So that helped me a bit, because it gave me somebody and a support network to kind of help with the transition. Moving back to the UK, or going back to the UK after my holiday, I had 6 weeks to make it all happen. I had to give notice on my house, sell my possessions. Had a company car, but I also had my own car, which I had to sell, and I had to just get a lot organised within such a short space. I just lost my mum, sorting all that out. It was just a lot to deal with. And at one point I was like, am I doing the right thing? I don't know if I'm just like caught up in the moment, but I'm leaving what I know. I'm leaving a good job, good money, nice home, to go to a country that I've only been to once, but also to a company that doesn't even pay me a basic salary. I'm only on commission. So what happens if all my savings go? What do I do then? Like, all these questions are going around in my head, and a lot of people are saying, you're mad. Why are you doing this? Being from a small town, that's what people always do. They're like, why would you do this? Why would you go there? Why go to Dubai? And I was like, God, why am I doing this? It's madness. But then I came to my senses. My family were like, no, you've got to go. You need to do this. Get out of Devon, move to Dubai and make something of yourself. So that's what I did. So 6 weeks later, I jumped on the plane. Lucky for me, my friend Susie worked for Virgin Atlantic at the time. And she actually was on the flight that was taking me to Dubai. Funny enough, coincidentally, she managed to get me a first class ticket, or she upgraded me to first class. So not only was I moving to Dubai, but I was moving to Dubai in first class. It was my first time ever flying first class, and I was moving to Dubai doing it. So it set everything off on the right notes, And having a really good friend come with me to help me settle in it really, really helped to have that support network there, because most people don't. People that I speak to, even today, they're moving not knowing anyone. not even being to the country, they've never been to Dubai or the UAE, yet they're moving on their own to a country that they don't know anybody, to a company where they know nobody. So at least I had done my due diligence and I built up a little bit of a network before I moved. So it helped me out a lot. But yeah, when she left, that's when it all dawned. I was like, shit, I'm here on my own. What's going to happen now? I'm going to start a company. Yes, I know somebody, but it just all seemed very, very foreign. Could I have done things differently? Yes. Could I have been given more support by the company that I was joining? 100%. I wish I knew now what I knew then. I wish I knew, yeah, because I didn't know anything. And that kind of, it affected me in some kind of way because I didn't know the processes. So by having this channel, I really want this to be a place where you guys can come to get your research, to get your advice, and I'll give it to you honestly. I'll give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is why we're here today. So this is why I want this channel to be very interactive, so you guys can get the content that you want, so you get value out of myself. And as we go along, we're going to go through company expectations, company obligations, the support you should be getting, the training, but from after the training, what you should be focusing on to get your businesses up and running, and then going forward. So it's going to be a whole process of things, and then we'll open up to more subjects as we go along. So that's a bit about myself. Hopefully you're all up to speed, and the next video we can then start getting into it a bit more. Like I said before, comments below. Let's make this interactive. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Hopefully all will go well. I feel like that was a good video. So take care. Have a good day.